Good morning, televiewers, and happy week start from us at My Media Prime Television. You're on to your favorite bilingual program, The Brief, dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers. And on today's edition of the program, we are focusing on the reconstruction and development plan initiated by President Paul Biya for the war-stricken regions of the country, notably the northwest, southwest, and the far north region of the country. The National Coordinator, Minister Paul Tasson, has revealed that his organization has already mobilized over 11.6 billion francs CFA, which is supposed to go a long way to develop infrastructures in those war-stricken regions of Cameroon. We shall equally tell you about what is happening concerning the elections at Fekafut come this 11th day of December 2021. We shall tell you how far the incumbent Sedum Bomotonguina has gone in challenging his opponent Samuel Etofi's former captain of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Gwladys Bomotonguina is here with us. Let's have the headlines in the French language. Bonjour et bon début de la semaine.
Merci beaucoup, Lasha. Bonjour à toi et bonjour à vous qui nous regardez. Merci de nous retrouver pour The Brief, votre émission de revue de presse bilingue sur My Media Prime Télévision. Alors ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Cameroun Tribune qui parle du budget 2022 du Cameroun. Les députés ont voté le projet de loi de finances et cela a été adopté au cours d'une séance plénière hier au Palais du Congrès de Yaoundé. Les détails sont donc en page 8 de ce journal. Nous continuons donc ce matin avec le journal Le Messager qui parle des manœuvres électorales à la Fekafut et présente certains ministres comme étant contre Samuel Etofi. Le journal déclare donc que Atangandi, Talba Mala et Bayrobé usent de leur position de pouvoir au gouvernement camerounais pour influencer et mettre la pression sur les délégués qui veulent contraindre à voter pour Bomotonguina. Les détails donc sont en page 11 de ce journal. Nous terminons ce matin avec l'anecdote qui revient lui aussi sur le budget 2022 et présente les plus grosses enveloppes qui ont été votées. Les détails sont donc en page 6 de ce journal. En page 9, le journal parle de l'ONU qui condamne le terrorisme dans les régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest Cameroun. En page 10, le journal parle d'une Camerounaise qui a péri dans des eaux. C'est ici que nous nous arrêtons pour cette revue de presse en langue française. Place à la découverte de ces journaux en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Bomotonguina. Gwladys. Let's kickstart with Entrepreneur newspaper Oswego Tria this morning. The paper is focusing on the reconstruction plan for the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Reconstruction of northwest and southwest, CFA 11.6 billion mobilized. And while many are still skeptical in the reconstruction for the crisis-hit regions of the country, out of 154 billion francs CFA needed for the reconstruction of nearly 300 schools, 1,000 health centers, 350 water points, rehabilitation of over 40 bridges and 600 kilometers of rural routes, 100 community infrastructures, rehabilitation of nearly 250,000 hectares of farmlands for over 3,000 families, amongst others. CFA 11.6 billion has been mobilized, and the revelation was made recently by the Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Economic Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tasson, as he is leaving no stone unturned in realization of the set project. More details in this edition of the newspaper on pages 8 and 9 of the Entrepreneur newspaper Oswego Tria. The paper is also reporting that Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute has inaugurated and a hospital, or the regional hospital in south region of the country. More details in this edition of the said newspaper. On to the Horizon. The Horizon newspaper is interested in the adoption of Camwater officials for ransom, and separatists disagree on the adoption of the said official. Ayuk Tabe orders Ayabacho to release kidnapped Camwater officials and living observers to question if the Toronto consensus is flying into species. More details in this edition of the Horizon newspaper. The Horizon is also telling us that government has fully legitimized thrones of Ekoko, the fourth Mokete, and Esuka Endele, that's of Buya and Kumba, first class chiefdoms. More details in this edition of the said newspaper. On to this other newspaper, the National Bilingual Daily, or the Lone English Daily, rather, the Cameroon, the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post is focusing this morning on the threats dished out by Professor Maurice Kamto of the MRC political party. Kamto threatens to disrupt AFCON if, and he warns that Biya regime would be, would be washing dirty linen in front of the international community if dares to crack down on planned protests during AFCON tournament in the country. The leader of the MRC opposition political party, that's the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, made the threat, or issued the threat in Yaoundé ahead of the 33rd edition of the AFCON, that's African Cup of Nations tournament, scheduled to take place come January 2022. Kamto issued the threat, like I earlier mentioned, in Yaoundé on Friday, December 3, and this was during a press conference he staged in Yaoundé, that's at the Oja headquarters of the MRC political party. And speaking at the press conference, Kamto warned that government to free all political prisoners, he says, so that they can go back and fit Xmas and the New Year with their families. More details in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Further U.S. petitions Biya over targeted killings of indigenous Agem population. We are told that the United States-based non-profit organization, the Agem Family and Development Association, has petitioned President Paul Biya over rising killings of indigenous Agem people by armed Aku Hausa in Wum Menchun division of the northwest region of Cameroon. In the petition, we are told that the group requested President Paul Biya to act swiftly and decisively against Aku Hausa youth, civil administrators and military officials involved in the 2019 and 2021 targeted killings of indigenous peoples of Agem in Wum. The petition draws the attention of the head of state to the systemic acts of massacres in Wum. More details on page 9 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. We now take you to this other newspaper, the last, of course, for this morning, the Post newspaper. The Post newspaper is focusing on Toronto Declaration. Southern Cameroonians as stakeholders resolve to forge ahead, negotiate as one entity. Still in the Post newspaper, Kamto regains liberty, says if government wants fight, CRM is ready for the fight. The president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, a political party, CRM, of Professor Maurice Kamto, has said the party is not looking for a fight, but if the fight decides to look for them, they will not run away from it. Professor Maurice Kamto made this statement in a press conference on December 3 in Yaoundé. This come a day after government put him under house arrest in a bid to frustrate his book launch in Douala. More details in this edition of the Post newspaper. The Post newspaper is also telling us that President Paul Biya has been petitioned to resolve Aku Hausa hostilities against Agem indigenes in Menchum division of the northwest region. And over 2,800 teachers' salaries have been suspended for irregular absences. The decision was taken recently by the various Ministry of Education concerned, and so 2,800 teachers' salaries have been suspended for irregular absences, as we learned from the Post newspaper. Thank you so much for watching. Televiewers, we are back in the studio, and let's meet our guests or resource persons who are already with us. We are beginning this morning with Elvis Mbane, who is the National Communications Secretary to the Popular Action Party. He is joining us via Skype from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Good morning, Elvis, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha Kingsley. Good morning to your co-panelists, to your co-presenter in the studio, and to all viewers of your prestigious channel.
knowing that you take off time from your busy schedule to join us from the nation's political capital. Let's kickstart with this petition coming from a non-governmental organization based in the United States of America regarding hostilities in Menchun division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. They want President Paul Biya to act. They accused administrators and local administrative authorities coming from a particular tribe, the Aku Awusa, of targeting Agem population in Wum. They accused those administrators that they are behind the killings or the recent killings in Menchun division.
Well, Mr. Lasha, it's not the first time that such killings are making themselves manifest in that area. And if people today petitioning Mr. Biya as head of state, I want to think it's but normal that they should do so. In other words, they are trying to simply just to follow, let me say, the right procedure, calling government's attention to the fact that there is some sort of...
Why would administrators and military officials who are sent to protect the population partake in targeted killings?
Well, you know, unfortunately with the recent crisis that way, people are taking advantage of it in several different ways to settle scores, and maybe, I don't know what they stand to actually gain behind such things, and which is rather something to decry. And we've known already, that one is no hidden history to Cameroonians, that our administrators generally out there, they do not really work at them to the best interest of the population. They have their own hidden agendas, and it's rather unfortunate that they who are called to protect the people, they rather prefer to sideline others and line up with others to how do I say, to ill-treat other persons within the same communities, which is really something to decry.
Okay, let's talk about this warning issued by the leader of opposition political party, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto. He says if government dares him this time around, he's going to give it to the government. That is not running away from any fight.
Good. He says if government dares him, he's going to. Meaning, therefore, that if government doesn't dare him to, he may perhaps lie.
No, he has planned. He has planned to disrupt. He has planned to disrupt. Or his party has planned to stage protests during AFCON tournament. Is that not looking for trouble?
Well, what I would say here is that a protest normally, in its real sense of the term, is not illegal. But what I would rather say here is that the opposition parties in Cameroon, the genuine ones, they are supposed to understand for once the need for them to come together and act as a team, not necessarily each person trying to go out there and showcase himself. And
why would Kamto only protest during AFCON tournament? Why would Kamto do that? Is that not lack of patriotism?
No. I don't think it's a lack of patriotism. It is another way of calling attention, of drawing public attention to the fact that there is some sort of malaise within the country. It's not a lack of patriotism, because when you talk even about the same AFCON we are organizing, Mr. Lasha, do not forget that at the time we are organizing AFCON, which is a tournament that is supposed to unite all Cameroonians to celebrate, some are in the bushes, forced into those bushes by the same government that we are talking about. Is that a show of patriotism? I don't think so. So I think that Mr. Kamto is just trying to seize an opportunity to make his case known, or to make the Cameroonian case known to both the national and international community. And like I was saying, what I will simply say here is that I would have loved that this should be some sort of a concerted or coordinated action with all genuine political parties acting together as one. Unfortunately, I always like to say that when we look at our opposition, it is still very, very weak, because people do not really want to act as a people to the best interest of the masses.
Most of you opposition parties have been accused of doing belly politics. You create political parties, mushroom political parties, for your personal aggrandizement, self-aggrandizement, not for the interests of the common man. Why not have few political parties that can really stand President Paul Biya or the ruling CPDM party? Why so many political parties?
I always like to use the term genuine, because we may have over 350 political parties in Cameroon, but if you go into those that are genuine opposition, you may not have more than 5 of them. That's what I'm saying. But
probably support Kamto. Yeah, one of your party is equally a credible party. Why can't you join Kamto?
Of course, that is just what we of the people who have been doing. We have contacted these parties, all of them, at the background to try to discuss and see how we can come together and work as a people. And that's what I want to say here, and I'm repeating, that we rather regret the fact that at a certain point in time, you see the idea of let me say egoism. People still want to think that actions must either be led just by them, or any idea that prospers out there must be one that comes initially just from them, or they should be the ones leading. If not, nothing happens. And we know exactly the type of regime we have faced to us. When you go in dispersed ranks, automatically that is just what Mr. Bia wants, because it permits him. In fact, it is a system that he even wants that should prevail, because when you go divided, it permits him to maintain his grasp on the hem at the hem of the nation.
Okay,
and we keep decrying that until the day these parties understand that they need to sit down, come up with a strategy, and act as a body without into consideration their respective party lines.
Okay, we'll be coming back to you, Elvis. Gladys.
Effectivement, on va rester avec toujours la FECAFOOT. Le journal nous parle ce matin, il nous dit qu'il y a certains ministres qui sont contre le fait que Etofis peut-être prenne les rênes de la FECAFOOT. Et ils ont nommé 3 ministres.
Well, about these FECAFOOT elections, like I said here on this platform one time, it is like there's so much politics. Yes, aside there's so much of personal interest, politics inclined, rather than the good of FECAFOOT itself. But like all Cameroonians are waiting, even if people are against Samuel Etofis, he's doing his campaign, he's going about his campaign. Even the other candidates, yes, because we are focusing on 2 candidates, meanwhile there are 4 other candidates also. Yeah. Yes, I think that only on the 11th of December that we are going to know who is our president of FECAFOOT. I think
we have
seen 6 delegates from 6 regions who have come out openly to say we are for Sedum Bombo.
Pledging support does not mean that on that day they are eventually going to vote for.
No, they have their consciences, which means that they might have been corrupted.
That's what I'm talking about, a lot of politics involved. We have seen so many people, even during presidential elections, many people pledge their support. At the end of the day, we don't even see where the support went to.
Mais comment, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Parce que là, le journal nous dit que ces délégués-là subissent donc les pressions de certains ministres pour pouvoir voter.
But is it not also going against the elections rules at FECAFOOT? Why should you come out and declare before elections day?
Like I said, there's a lot of politics
should not be disqualified?
Ou bien est-ce que ces délégués ne doivent pas déjà être mis de côté parce que à la fin on se rend compte qu'ils ont déjà un parti?
Because we are already seeing that it is already some sort of disrespect but like I said, pledging support does not mean voting. Yes, it's going to be confirmed.
But the votes are supposed to be private and personal. Why should they come? It's just like during presidential elections, you come out and you say...
It's okay to support somebody.
No, as a delegate, I don't
because
think...
they have to vote as well.
Yes, but
it's not like they are going there. It's not like they are already going there to say, I am already voting for this president.
Normally, their vote is supposed to be hidden.
Of course, it is supposed to be. They have not voted.
Elvis, are you still with us?
They have not voted. Pledging support. Let's not be surprised that when the election let's not be surprised that it is even possible that none of these 2 candidates become the president eventually. But yes, because we cannot be sure. We cannot be sure unless they have voted. So I don't think that they coming out publicly to pledge their support does not mean that they have already voted for.
But it's already wrong. I think that normally they should be disqualified.
Yes, you are itching to talk. When you read through the document that came out yesterday, with these delegates from 6 regions pledging their support for Sedum Bombonjoya, what was your take?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
I didn't get your question, please.
Yes, I'm asking about the document that was sent out yesterday by some delegates from 6 regions pledging their support for Sedum Bombonjoya. What was your reaction?
Well, with respect to that document, Mr. Lasha, it simply tells you that FECAFOOT, as we have known it for more than 10 years today, has been more of a political institution than really an independent one that was supposed to act the way the norms of the game indicate. And when we see the lizard goes out, we understand what has been going on at the background. And what I can rather say from my own take is that maybe I am not to forecast what the results will look like, but I want to think that to some extent maybe Samuel Etophis might not have understood the rules of the game in that house already. And then when you look at the northern regions, for instance, all throwing their weight behind Seydou, some people are of the opinion that maybe Eto had a hand against he played a role, against Iya Muhammad and Issa Ayatu, and that's why perhaps the northern regions could be trying to turn their weight to on.
But should people openly?
It is all politics, and we know how it happens within that house. Let's wait and see what the final results will look like.
But is it not wrong for the delegates to openly declare their support? Should they not be disqualified?
Like I say, nothing within FECAFU has ever been working the way it is supposed to work for the past 10 years, Mr. Lasha. We know the number of normalization committees we have had within that house because nothing moves the right way. And of course, it is Cameroon. Unfortunately,
should things still continue like that?
Basis, but when you say they should resign, who causes them to resign?
No, not resigning. That they should be disqualified. They should be disqualified. They should be disqualified for not respecting the rules of the game.
The question is, who are even those organizing the turnout, the elections in the first place? Because if the people who are organizing maybe have also taken part already, they have taken their own stance politically.
Then what should Cameroonians do? Then what should Cameroonians do to have their choice like voted at this point of the time?
Please.
What should Cameroonians do to have their choice voted? At this point in time,
when it comes to having the right government in place, Cameroonians should understand that as far as politics in Cameroon is concerned, they need first and foremost to admit that the power that authorities have come from them, and so they take their rights as citizens of the country and they impose what they think should happen within the rims of the country. Because if you are referring, if we limit it just to FECAFU, you will understand that the masses per se may not have much to do because the election is not national. It's just a certain number of delegates who do the voting. And once they are voting at that level, Cameroonians may not really have much per se to do at that level. But if they have a choice of theirs and they want to impose it, then I want to think that it begins with the overall politics of the country, where the masses must at one point in time gain cognizance of the fact that they have the right to decipher what happens at the helm of the state. They have the right to choose who are candidates and not. And I will tell you again that FECAFU and what is happening there is just a reflection of the regime that we have in place, where everything is so hyper-centered in Yaoundé, and a particular people impose what should happen in any environment and in any institution, no matter how far you may call it an independent institution or not.
Okay, thank you, Elvis. Thank you. Our time is up. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you to Joy Ngong for coming. Thank you, televiewers, for taking our time to watch the very first edition of the Brief for the Week, which was produced by Christain Tebong. We were Bomotonguina, Gwladys, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Bye-bye.